What's going on, everyone? Today I want to go over the Dahlia aka Constance because this kit seems quite promising and there's going to be a lot of cases where she will shine. Will she be meta? Yes, but there's quite a bit of caveats which I do want to talk about. Starting off with the general kicker, will she be meta? Yes. If anyone says no, there's something wrong with them. The thing with Honkai Star Rail is every unit that comes out is meta. Spynon, Cyrene, Anaxa, Robin, even Rappa, who's bad right now, was meta when she first came out. Same with Face Shao, Sealy, anybody and everybody. This will apply to the Dahlia as well for a whole bunch of reasons. Her kit is good as it stands right now in the beta, and at the same time, Hoyoverse is obviously going to make attempts to make us, the players, more incentivized to pull break units. Like for example, break reruns. We'll see a Fugue rerun very soon. Rappa is due for a rerun. She hasn't had one yet. There's probably going to be a new break DPS coming out, 4.x if I had to guess. But that's a whole nother can of worms, right? Specifically, we're talking about Constance here. Now, I can't go over the full kit right now because of the fact that the 3.8 beta is just a beta. It's not fully out yet. But what I can tell you is for all of the break DPSs we have in game right now, she synergizes pretty well with all of them, meaning that if you have a Rappa, maybe you have Boohill, for example, you want to use your older break DPSs. I'm not going to say that you're guaranteed to make them work now, but you will have an exceptionally better chance to actually make these units work. The reason why is even at E0, S0, Constance here not only increases your team's break damage output, but at the same time debuffs the enemies as well, which you'd be surprised by how many little units we have in game can actually do that, both debuffing and buffing, both of which being meaningful. Usually a Nihility unit is just locked to debuffing, usually a Harmony unit is just locked to buffing, so the Dahlia here is definitely a few and far between kind of unit. Now I did say that Constance here can synergize with every break DPS and she will probably be able to work with every single break DPS that will ever come out, but there's only a few things about her kit as it stands right now in version 3 of the 3.8 beta's kit that makes her kit a little off, right? The first of which is going to be vertical investment. Now, this shouldn't even come as a surprise. Every support gets massive value from vertical investment. Tribi, crazy value from her E1. Sunday, he needs his Lycone, otherwise he's like 50% less as good. Saridra, arguably E1 or S1 would take you really far. Danhang, Permentor, Terra is sustained, but still E1 turns him into a Harmony unit. Cyrene, E2 is where her kit really shines, although she's still usable at E0, S0. Constance here is hardly an exception. Again, I can't talk about what the E1 or the S1 do, but both of which are going to be extremely valuable to her kit. E1 makes her more synergetic with every break DPS, and the S1 is only good because of the fact that there's not really any good alternative Lycones that we have right now because she's break, right? A break Nihility unit is pretty far and few between. She can still function at E0, S0, it's just going to be about the same as Tribi E0 versus Tribi E1 kind of thing, or Sunday E0, S0 versus Sunday E0, S1. You're missing out on value, but you still have the majority of the character's value from the kit itself. Which honestly, for an archetype like Break where there's hardly any dedicated units, you're going to appreciate that. E0, S0 is all you're going to need. But now you probably already know what the other thing is. If not, you probably started to pick up on it. And that's going to be the fact that Constance here is just a little bit different than a dedicated break support. Is she that, right? Is she what I just mentioned? Yes, she will work with Rappa. She will work with, to an extent, with Boohill. But the thing is, looking at her kit, she's basically just meant for Firefly. Straight up, her kit is literally just Firefly support. Weakness implant for the enemies only if it's fire weakness, which the Dahlia and Firefly are both fire type units, and if you throw in Fugue as well, pretty easy to break the enemies as toughness bars. But because of the fact that it's specifically fire weakness, this doesn't really do a whole lot for Rappa, right? Rappa is essentially just an erudition Firefly. She wants the enemies to be toughness broken so that she can actually do quite a bit of her damage output. And honestly, I think that this part is a huge miss. I would have honestly rathered Constance just be an overall great break support that works with all of them universally, as opposed to just being a Firefly unit, a dedicated Firefly support. Now, I don't know about Boohill, but we will see Rappa rising up in the meta a little bit with the release of Constance, but there's no doubt about it, the character that will be impacted the most by Constance's release is going to be Firefly. She'll probably be tier 0.5 when Constance comes out, and she will almost certainly be tier 0 when she does get buffed, which is another thing that did get leaked. I've talked about this in a handful of videos, but Firefly is due to be getting buffed sometime early 2026, and this, along with the fact that there's a unit coming out that's made for her, will make her one of the best DPSs of early 2026. Is that going to last long term? No. Is that going to last for the remainder of 2026? Honestly, it probably will. The Dahlia here is going to be a great unit, but she's niche, right? And we've seen this with the new releases for units in Honkai Star Rail. Literally every single patch these past few months have just been niche releases. 3.5 had Hasilans in Saridra, both are niche units. 3.6, Danhang is universal, but he's free, so we don't give a shit. Evernight, dedicated unit for Constance. 3.7, Cyrene, obviously, just goes without saying. And then 3.8, yet again, another niche unit. But she's a little too niche, so if you want to use her outside a break team, like, God forbid you want to use her in like an Acheron team comp, you might as well not even get her at all. Now, what this ultimately means is that if the Dahlia here is meta, that means that our current break DPSs are also going to be meta. Firefly ruled out, she will be meta. Okay, like, especially after she gets buffed, she's gonna be meta, but what about Rappa and Hill? Obviously, they won't be impacted as much, but I'm sure there's still going to be phenomenal units nonetheless. Are they going to be top tier, zero cycling easily with your eyes closed and one hand up your butthole kind of easy and overpowered? No. They're not going to be Final level. They're not going to be Casterus level. But if you want me to be honest, bro, I think the power creep in Honkai Star Rail is exaggerated like crazy. If you throw in an E0S1 Jinglu post buff with, say, a Hyacinth, you'll probably get a max start clear. Even if it's with like 5 cycles in MLC, you'll still get that shit on lockdown. So honestly, I don't think it's that big of an issue, but it is a little problematic that Constance only works with Firefly. What this means is that Firefly will rise up in the meta and she'll get buffed, she'll climb further up in the meta, and then she'll slowly descend down back to where she was before she got buffed in the tier list. And what that means is that just like what happened with Fugue, Constance will also fall off when that happens. But I guarantee you, Constance plus Firefly is going to be a deadly combo for a good 7-8 months. But that's about it. I got nothing else to say. This kind of topic for a unit this niche, I mean, this might honestly just straight up be the most niche unit we've ever had in Honkai Star Rail. Like, this is just a hard thing to talk about, especially because the kit's not finalized. Everything is still subject to change. She literally only is best in slot for one team, basically, right? Maybe with Rappa and Blue Hill, I don't know the testing or what that looks like or anything like that. But again, hyper niche, but in her respective niche, she will go crazy. She will be best in slot. Probably like a high ceiling situation. Maybe, I don't know, question mark. But that's about it. I'll see you. Goodbye.